Welcome to Go Lurk Yourself, a podcast about streaming on the internets. My name is Crunky.
And I am Cherry Cake.
Today we're going to talk about the 2018 Electronic Entertainment Expo, otherwise known as E3, which, if you don't know, is a great big exposition hall presentation for all the big hardware and software developers to get together and say, hey, here's what we have in the pipeline. You guys probably have seen footage this year of what's the big game that came out this year? It was God of War, right?
Yes.
They showed a lot of the gameplay footage for the first time at last year's E3, and so it's kind of everyone's first glimpse of seeing an upcoming game. I know in years past, I had seen the new Legend of Zelda before Wind Waker came out. There was E3 footage that looked nothing like what actually ended up coming out.
No way.
It was originally looked like a more realistic, more 3D looking Zelda game, sort of like Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. And then 1 year at E3, out comes this cartoon that ended up being Wind Waker.
So that was Wind Waker that you saw, and then when it actually came out, it wasn't anything like what you saw.
Yeah, so they showed like a not even gameplay, but like a fight between Link and Ganon that looked like a very more upscaled, up-resed. I'll tell you what it looked like, to be honest. It looked like the Twilight Princess version of Zelda.
Oh, yeah.
And they showed that at E3, like, hey, we're working on a Zelda game, everybody. And then they showed the fight, and everyone's like, yeah, pumped. And then and then it became out Hanna-Barbera's Zelda game. But I actually really like Wind Waker. I think it was very well done as far as a game, but it was just so not what I expected.
Yeah, I can imagine. After seeing that and then going from what you saw to what was released, that's a big jump.
If there's one thing Nintendo's really good at, is of subverting your expectations. Which, if you've seen The Last Jedi, everyone knows how well that worked out. I know you haven't seen it.
No.
Star Wars is for nerds, right?
This is true. And you know this to be true. And I'm sure there's a lot of Star Wars nerds out there that will be proud to be a Star Wars nerd. Because I know, because you're one of them.
Well, yeah. I'm one of the few people you probably talked to who actually liked Last Jedi. I was entertained by it. I thought it was good.
Which one's The Last Jedi?
It was the one that just came out.
Oh,
the one that everyone's like crapping all over because spoiler alert, it changes, it takes some liberties with the Force. They kill off, well, I'm not going to say who they kill off, but they kill off some major characters.
Anyway, E3.
Yeah, not to get derailed too much.
I'll keep you on track, Crumb, don't worry.
Thanks. So, E3 this year, we've got a couple of big titles that a lot of people are expecting to see. I know the number one that everyone's looking forward to is some more gameplay footage of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes.
Have you seen the trailer for the new trailer that came out this week?
I don't think I've seen the one that came out this week, no.
We should pause the podcast right here and go watch it real quick.
All right, okay.
All right, and we're back. We just watched the new Red Dead Redemption trailer number 3. What did you think, Cherry?
It looks so epic. It looks like a film trailer. I know a lot of things do these days, but I don't know. I felt like I was going to watch a film. I really did.
Yeah, it still, to me, if I have my glasses on and I'm watching a trailer like that, I can still get a little bit of the uncanny valley in their eyes and their facial expressions. But man, it's hard to beat a trailer like that. I mean, we're at that point now where, and I know everyone always thinks this, but where graphics and sound and gameplay are reaching a critical point where, there's been an argument for a lot of years about games should or should not try to be movies. Should they be more focused on a cinematic experience that looks amazing but plays so, or should they focus on gameplay? And we could both cite tons of examples of each. I know a cinematic game that worked really well as a game was Red Dead Redemption 1. It had some cinematic epic moments, but it still was a good game at heart. Yeah,
I think there's definitely a point where it's a very fine balance between the two, and you can get an awesome game, much like Red Dead Redemption, like you were saying. Yeah. But there have been examples in the past where it's gone one way or the other. Sometimes you just you feel almost like a bystander sometimes, and you're just going through the motions while kind of playing a game, but you're watching a film or, an extended piece, and you have minimal input, but...
Feels more like you're pushing a button to see a cutscene.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I really Go on.
Oh, go ahead. And one game that came out on the PlayStation 4 not too long ago is called The Order 1886. That was highly panned for that.
Oh, really? Did you play that?
No, I was warded off of it by people going, this game's not that good, but it was one of those games that looked amazing. It was all flash and no substance,
Yeah.
They say that the ending too, the main character holds a gun to the bad guy's head, and then it goes to black, and then you hear the gunshot, like the most cliche art school ending to a film and a video game. But yeah, that trailer looks really good. I mean, I think that's the one that people are most looking forward to. There's always an E3. There's one everybody's expecting, the games everybody wants to see, and those are usually, those bars will get set too high, and all you can really be is either, so about it because it's what you wanted, or disappointed because it's not what you wanted. Hence my Zelda example.
Yeah.
And then you've got the surprises, the things no one was expecting, or a long lost sequel that was coming out.
Yeah.
Just perusing around the internet earlier, getting ready for this. Have you read much or seen a lot about Death Stranding, which is an Xbox exclusive, I think?
Yes. It has been in the works for, is it about 2 years now? Yeah,
it's and I'm blanking on his name, the guy who did Metal Gear Solid that left.
Is that Kojima?
Yeah. Hideo Kojima?
Hideo Kojima.
Hideo. My apologies for messing your name up. That game, I've seen a lot of really interesting trailer clips for it, and I expect that we'll get a better showing of it at E3.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, but you just never know. They might be 2 years away from releasing it. I know Metal Gear Solid was shown at E3 how many times? Not Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid 5. I know 4 was a launch title for the PS3. How long ago was that?
Wow. That's been a long time since between Metal Gears then.
For sure, yeah.
See, Death Stranding, again, falls into the category of, because from what I've seen anyway, I don't think there's any gameplay of it, actual gameplay footage of it yet, but it falls into the category of what we were just talking about, whether it's a cinematic experience or an actual game that you can play.
Exactly. I have a lot of faith in Kojima because the Metal Gear Solids have been wild, crazy rides, but they've always been great action games. Yeah, he's
got a good reputation, so I'm holding out hope that it is going to actually be really good. It looks so interesting from just what I've seen.
Yeah, it's so early in concept and they've not shown a whole lot that I can't even tell you what the game's about.
No one knows what's going on. There's so much speculation around it. Some guy with a baby in him, or that's a baby that's going on the outside.
I mean, yeah, exactly. If that's not Metal Gear insanity, I don't know what else is.
Yeah.
So what about, I know one that I think you're probably the most excited about, whether you know it or not, and that's the remake of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh my god, that is on my list. Yes.
Have you read that they're talking about splitting that up into multiple releases?
Yes, they were talking about doing an episodic adventure, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Which is fine. That's fine. I don't mind that at all. But I just would like something, because it's been rumoured and talked about for just a ridiculously long time. And I haven't enjoyed a Final Fantasy game. Bear in mind, I haven't played FF15. Yeah. I've heard that one is really good. But the last one I played was Final Fantasy X, with Final Fantasy VII being my favourite, closely followed by Final Fantasy VIII. So I am a huge fan of the franchise, and to see a remake made in HD, glorious, upgraded graphics and different battle style to it, it's just so intriguing to me. I really, really want it to be true.
Are you worried, though, that it can't possibly, recapture the magic of an old game while being a fun new game?
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, there's always going to be that with an old school game, because I played FF7 when I was, 11? I think. Wow. I was in the start of high school. So it's a long time ago.
I remember when that game was released in the U.S. I was like 20 and living on my own and couldn't afford to buy it because I had to pick either a PlayStation or a Nintendo, and I got a Nintendo 64.
Hey, it's not a bad choice, an N64, to be fair.
No, but I remember watching. They had TV commercials for Final Fantasy, and I was just drooling. I'm like, that looks so amazing.
Yeah, I do remember the feeling that I got when I actually saw, well, I guess what we would call a trailer back then, which was an advert on TV. And seeing some of the graphics, I was like, they were, cutscenes, they weren't actual gameplay, but just seeing the character models and how nice it looked, I was like, that is amazing. Nothing can get better than that game right now.
So I remember it being just earth-shattering when I watched the trailer for it. And then I played it a couple of years ago on Steam, and it's just not aged well.
No.
It's prime for a remake.
Yeah, for sure.
Just for everyone's information, E3 comes out in June, starts June 9th this year. So, there's going to be some time between now and when it comes out. I mean, it's only a month away, but, that's forever in video game terms, right?
Yes.
We were talking about games that kind of cross that bridge between cinematic and really good gameplay and leave good first impressions despite high expectations. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the new God of War. I played that last night for probably 2 hours for the first time. We bought it a few weeks ago, but my wife's been streaming it, so I've just been waiting for her to be done with it. And we're for everyone else here who's listening, we're going to be doing a live version of the podcast where we have guests every week. My wife, the Sunny D, and I will kind of chair it. The live version will have Cherry on and Snuffus and B Shiv, and we'll have a rotating cast of characters in and out as often as we can. But so we got this little office set up where we're going to do the recording, and I have this 4K TV hooked up, and I was like, well, I'm just going to hook the PlayStation up, play God of War, and I'm still thinking about it this morning. It is so immersive. It was the first time I'd actually ever seen the PlayStation 4 actually in 4K, and wow, it's impressive. Like they really capture the mix of, it's a God of War game, but it's not old God of War. It's like it has a lot of the elements, the intense visceral action. It's got a deeper story narrative that's not intrusive or hacky or feels forced in. Kratos and his son talk back and forth. I don't want to get too derailed on a review because Dee and I are actually going to do an episode about God of War, but it's a perfect example of what we were just talking about, of a game that mixes both cinema. It's trying to be a movie and it's trying to be a game, and it pulls them both off. And it also meets, being the 7th game in the franchise, meets that expectation, and in my opinion so far exceeds it.
Yeah. I haven't got a PS4 to play it, unfortunately, because it is an exclusive title, so there's no other way of playing it. But I have watched Dee stream it, and I was really, really blown away by it. But I read a little bit about it, and the way that they've gone about doing the actual gameplay and the scenes together, there are no visual cuts between a cutscene and gameplay. So I think that really adds to like the immersiveness of the game itself, because you're not taken out of the gameplay to go and watch something to be put back into the gameplay itself. So going along and triggering these things, you just feel like you're there. It looks incredible. It really does. It's just a shame that I can't play it.
It's insane because I've seen it played quite a bit. I've tried to stay away from major story spoilers, but I've seen Brutal Nerd play it. I've seen Jimmy No Pro, Beardy the Barbarian, the Sunny D, and Chichen all play it at various times. I'll hop in and I'll just more chat than focus on the story, because there's stretches of it where it's just combat. But I've seen most of these clips, and I was like emotionally invested last night replaying an area that I watched Dee play when she first started. I was like, oh wow, it's a lot different when you're the actual one swinging the axe, and you there's a scene where his son is hunting an elk at the beginning, and you actually guide his hands and help him, and like
I've seen that. Yeah.
Oh God, it's so good. I don't know if it's just the parent in me that's tapping into, or if it works for everybody, but oh my God, I was like,
oh, maybe.
It was like being there, man. It was like being there. But back to E3, it's actually June 12th and on. I'm going to double check this. Yeah, I think that's when they're going to have their recap shows, June 12th. Are there any other games that you've read about that you're most excited about before we just kind of dive into each company and what they're doing?
God, yes. The new Tomb Raider.
Oh, yes. How could I forget?
Oh, my word.
So for those at home who don't know, the Sunny D and Cherry Cake TV both are huge fans of that game. And the game they both actually have the same birthday, some magically, in 1 out of 365 chance for somebody randomly to have your birthday. And the game comes out 2 or 3 days before your guys' birthday?
It's on the 14th, so 2 days before.
2 days before. So that's, I mean, what a better birthday present than your favorite game series coming out with a sequel.
It's I honestly can't wait for it. Me and Dee have talked at length about the Tomb Raider games, the reboot ones.
Yeah.
And I can't express how much I love these games. From playing the first reboot, it was on it was the exclusive for the Xbox. Oh, was it? No, it was PS4, was it?
I think Xbox had like an early release exclusive for it. Like they got it a month before everybody else, if I remember right.
It was the Xbox, yeah.
Yeah,
because I had an Xbox One, and I specifically kept the Xbox. I hated that console. I really did. I have nothing for it. I really don't like it. But I specifically kept it because of Tomb Raider, because it was an exclusive, and I played through it. About 3 or 4 times because I just loved the gameplay of it, the storyline, the action, just the voice acting. It was just so incredible. I honestly can't tell you how much I love it. So I played through that one, then got rid of the Xbox because I was just meh. And then Rise of the Tomb Raider came out. By then I got rid of my Xbox, so I had to wait until it got released on PC.
Yeah.
Played it on that. While I do like Rise of the Tomb Raider, I don't like it as much as the first one. Rise seems more focused on more action, whereas the first one is a little bit more exploring because it's the first in a reboot. It's like putting you in Lara's shoes, where she's finding herself and she's discovering who she is, where her place is in this world of exploring relics and stuff like that. The second one was a very heavily action based. It was still a really good game, but it wasn't one of my favorites compared to the first one.
I think you hit it right there with the reboot aspect, because the old school like late 90s Tomb Raiders were all like exploring caves, and
she literally was a Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I could see how they were like trying to find that mix, and I think based on their sales, I think the second one sold quite a bit better, probably because it was cross-platform from the get-go too.
Yeah.
But I wonder how that bodes for the sequel, this new sequel, if it's going to be more like the second one, or more like if they're going to try to scale it back.
There has been, again, very little shown of this. There has been a trailer, I think an extended trailer, about 2.5 minutes, showing a little bit of what is to come. And again, it does feel very actiony, but I think this one might be quite dark in regards to who Lara is.
You know what it looked like to me? It looked like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, yeah.
They had like the tribal guys with the skulls in their heads and fire everywhere. And I was like, okay, they're going for a definite vibe here.
Yeah, for sure. It
did look good, though.
Yeah, it really does. I'm really interested to see where they take Lara as a character with this one, because with the narrative that's over the trailer itself, I think she's a little bit lost as to who she is right now, because I don't know, she's just kind of, I don't know, maybe distinguished herself as a person that tries to find relics at any cost, and it's evident in the trailer because she ends up killing a guy, which, fair enough, he's going to sacrifice this little kid, but would the old Lara Croft have killed him? I don't know.
Almost like she's a shadow of her former self.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is definitely their dark Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Another Star Wars reference you probably don't get.
No.
But this is their dark version. It's funny because Dee and I went last weekend and saw the new Avengers movie, and without giving any specific spoilers away, I've heard this has been called the Star Wars, the Empire Strikes Back, which is like the downer one. That's the middle of a trilogy, So, wow. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're going to set it up, and then the last one will be like Triumph of the Tomb Raider or something.
Yeah, maybe. What about you then, Crunk? Is there anything that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think the number one thing I'd love, I mean, and this is, I have no expectation. I don't think they're absolutely going to, but what I would love to see is more details on FromSoft's Shadows Die Twice trailer, little teaser they had with Nintendo Direct, where they just showed the little bone. Was it a Nintendo Direct? I don't know. It was some press conference where it was basically the guys who made Bloodborne and Dark Souls and Demon Souls showed this trailer, and it just said Shadows Die Twice, and it showed like a bone and it twisting and blood everywhere. And I was like, yes, I want to play a new FromSoft game, please. So
right now.
Yeah, I mean, and what's crazy is like, is Shadows Die Twice the name of the game? Is it just a catchphrase?
Yeah.
Because it like just set the internet ablaze with, is this a Shadow Tower, which is an old FromSoft game, like reimagined? Is this? It looks very Bloodborne-y with the blood and the twisting and all that. Is it a new Bloodborne game? Who knows? I don't think it'd be Bloodborne because that's a Sony exclusive. But I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say you can't really grasp too much from, how long was it? 5 seconds?
Yeah. Oh, it was really short. But you know what? I say that. Just knowing they're working on something was a huge adrenaline rush because I love. I mean, I've probably talked about it on the podcast before, but I went back this year, or maybe it was earlier this year, and I played Demon Souls, thinking that it would be. And I kind of shied away from going back because, one, you have to get the hardware, and two, you have to play a game that's older, and kind of. I was worried that seeing the underneath the hood a little bit of the FromSoft formula might not have aged well, because that game was from probably 8 years ago, maybe a decade ago now. And no, it was great. So I'm just looking forward to seeing where they go next, because as far as I'm concerned, they have not had a misstep yet.
Yeah.
Are there any other games specifically you want to talk about before we start going into it?
Just maybe a couple to touch on. The new Yoshi game. I don't know if they are Yoshi. I guess you Americans would call it.
It's Yoshi, damn it.
It's Yoshi. There has been very little about this. Again, there's no formal title for it as yet. So I'm hoping to see at least maybe something a little bit more on that at E3.
Did you play Yarn Yoshi on the Wii U?
No, I know. I never got to. I really wanted to.
Okay. Or Epic Yarn or whatever it was called.
Yeah, it was something like that. I know which one you mean.
It was good. It was definitely, those games are more, in my mind anyway, they're more kiddie platformers because they're not super difficult. It's not like Donkey Kong where it looks all cartoony, but it's hard as hell.
Yeah, so I've heard.
I mean, my 11-year-old played it and got about halfway through it before she lost interest, which is good for her. She has a lot of options with all the gaming consoles we have around here and her own PC.
I think Yoshi will be the new platform game will be very suited to the Switch, because I think the Switch itself is designed for stuff like that.
Yeah.
More like just platforming games. I think it's very, very suitable for, like again with the new Donkey Kong. I say new. Tropical Freeze, that's just been released as well. I think that will do well on the Switch.
It's been a port, yeah. I really hope that Nintendo keeps. I know there's a lot of people, especially people who bought Wii U's, are mad that a lot of the Wii U's biggest hits are getting re-released on the Switch, but it's absolutely the right move for them to make for the throngs of people who didn't buy a Wii U and for the people who have a Wii U and would like to play those games on the go, even if they get it. They could do it at a discount, but they don't have any financial incentive to do that right now. I famously crap a lot on EA for making purely financial decisions.
Who doesn't?
I know. That are in the bad interest of, but I think they cross the line. But I fully endorse Nintendo to pull out of that nosedive that was the Wii U. I've supported the Wii U. I bought almost every game on it. I loved that system. But I've not bought Donkey Kong again because I played enough of it. I know me enough to know that I won't finish that game again. I don't think I even finished it the first time. So
that's fair, Krung. I mean, although they are ports, it doesn't mean you have to buy them. If you've already played them for the Wii U, you're not forced into buying them again for the Switch. It's just purely for the people that didn't have a Wii U, I guess, or didn't have access to a Wii U to play some really, really good titles that were on there.
I think a lot of the people I see, for a better way of saying it, pissing and moaning about the ports, and I think in their mind that Nintendo shouldn't spend any time on these ports. They should spend all their time and money on making new stuff. And I'm like, well, a port's a lot easier to do than to whip out a new game. You know, and usually they can have an outside company do a port. So,
especially if it's a good game as well.
Exactly.
But the new Yoshi game is not going to be a port, as far as I'm aware. It's going to be a brand new Yoshi game.
What I've seen of it, it looks brand new. Now, will it be in the same engine? They just changed the look of it from Yarn to something else?
This
Who knows?
Is true.
But
yeah, I guess we'll find out.
But that's okay. I mean, it's a freaking Yoshi game. What do you expect?
Is it expected to be released is it the end of this year?
Yeah, I think it has a 2018 date on it. I don't know the exact date. To be honest, I'm not following that one really close, but...
Oh, how dare you.
I know. God. I think back to... was it Super Mario World 2 was the first real Yoshi game? Mm-hmm. You talk about expectations. When they renamed it Super Mario World 2, I'm like, oh, this is going to be amazing. Well, Super Mario World is one of my favorite games ever. And I get it. I'm like, what is this shit with the crying baby and the arrow and you have to shoot things? This plays completely different.
Oh, that was just branding, though.
I know, but I hated that game because I was at the store and I'm like, this is back there. I don't even think I saw a trailer for it. I'm like, I'm at the store. There's a Super Mario World 2. When did this happen? And that was in a time when I didn't have $50 to drop on a game every week.
Yeah.
And I saved up for it and got it. I'm like, oh, betrayal. Mm-hmm. So let's look at the top games that Microsoft is rumored to be showing this year. We know last year they had a pretty good lineup of games I don't care about, like Crackdown 3, Forza 7, and Cuphead. Cuphead was on PC as well, though, so I don't know how that's an exclusive, but it was exclusive to just the only console it was on was Xbox, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay. A lot of the popular expectations this year is to see maybe a Halo 6. People are talking, what are they going to do with Halo? Have you heard anything about Halo yet this year?
I was just reading about Halo 6 rumors. If it is to happen, they reckon that it might be the final installment for Master Chief and wrap some things up with the storyline.
Maybe have him die
again. He's already died about 10 times.
Oh, has he? I have a gaming confession to make.
You've never played a Halo?
I never played one all the way through. I can't stand them. I don't know why. I just never could.
I think the only Halos, in fact, probably the only Halo that I've played through is Halo 3. That is an old one.
Yeah. They're all new to me, damn it. So one game that I know D is super excited for would be Fable 4 if they were to show anything about that.
Ooh, tell me more.
There's been rumors bubbling around about I think it was on a message board people were talking about, there's assets, there's actual Fable 4 in development. I think even the studio released some information about it, but nobody knows how far along is it, but it's definitely being worked on. So, pie in the sky, they will show something, even if it's just a trailer for it. I know one of Dee's favorite gaming experiences of all time was back when we had a working 360. She played Fable 2. I want to say it was 2008 or 2009. She played Fable 2 quite a bit. I think she played through the whole story twice, and she's gone on record of saying that's one of her favorite games of all time.
Wow, that's a statement.
Yeah, and it's kind of like Tomb Raider. They went in a direction she didn't care for in Fable 3, but she still played through the entire thing. So that would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Another game that people are expecting to see at E3 from Microsoft is State of Decay 2. Have you ever heard of that game?
I have heard of... Oh, sorry, I just hit my mic. I have heard of this, but I don't know anything about it.
So basically it's a zombie game. From what I can tell, the original, I've never played it, but it's basically a third-person survival zombie game that's mixes combat, stealth, and resource management and crafting. So, yeah, it's a zombie game, right?
Yeah.
I think this is one of my biggest beefs with Microsoft is that they seem to, they've got a couple of good first-party series like Halo, Fable, and the Forza. Are those there's one of them that's specific just to Microsoft, I think. Or are they all?
Pass.
Yeah, I don't know, but I had an Xbox One last year or year before, and just I couldn't find any game that wasn't multi-plat that I wanted to play. And a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that I don't like to play shooters. So I actually bought Halo Master Chief Collection to like try to like get into it, and just could not. I tried Halo 1, like that's too old. Halo 2, not same. Halo 3, I hate the combat.
Yeah.
Because I just can't do it, But now I'm sure Microsoft will have to come out with something big this year. They're behind. They were behind PlayStation 4 by a significant margin, and Nintendo's got all the momentum right now with the Switch being a surprise hit. So you would imagine they have to do something big this year. The pressure's on them, I think.
The only thing that it's not. It won't be an exclusive. I was going to say the new Call of Duty, but it'll be cross-platform again, so it won't be an exclusive to just to Microsoft anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they're going to have to come up with something. I have no idea what that could be.
Yeah, I don't know either. So let's move on to Sony, shall we?
Let's.
You have anything else on Xbox that you know of?
Not this time, no.
Okay. So Sony's got some big ones. Like we talked about, the Shadows Die Twice. Obviously, Last of Us. I'm sorry, we talked about Death Stranding already, but Last of Us Part 2 is going to be huge for them. Have you ever played that one, the first one?
No, I haven't, and I really wanted to, but...
I think it was yesterday, Chaos was streaming it?
Yes. It
General
does look
Chaos
like...
Live on Twitch. Yeah.
It looks like a really good game.
Yeah, it is. I love the story, and I probably mentioned this before. I love the story in that so much that when I got frustrated with some of the shooting mechanics in it in the middle of the game, I was going to give up. I just went and watched the end of the story on YouTube.
Oh, God.
I was like, I didn't bought the game, screw it. I know, but there were these, it's two things that I can't stand in a video game is I can't shoot very well with a controller. So in a zombie game like that, well, they're not zombies, but you know what I mean? Infected game like that. Yeah. Ammo's really limited. So like if you miss, let's say you have a revolver, you have 6 bullets. I missed 3 shots on the first guy and there's 18 guys to kill. So I'm like, I died like 300 times over and over and over again. I was like, screw this.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was this or break a controller. Have you seen the Spider-Man game?
No.
From Insomniac Games, the guys who made Ratchet and Clank and all those games?
I have not.
Oh man, you need to after this go look at it. It's if you remember back in the mid 2000s there was a PlayStation 2 and there was even a GameCube version of Spider-Man 2 that came out in time with the movies, and Insomniac has a huge a well responded pedigree of making quality fun gameplay. We talked about earlier the cinematic versus gameplay experience, and I think they've found that balance pretty well. And a Spider-Man game that controls very well is something very exciting. Being able to like swing around town and shoot webs and seamlessly transition between ground and air combat, I think they can really pull that off, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with that.
Just having a quick look, I think at was this really revealed last year?
I think they've shown clips of it, but I don't know how much gameplay has been shown.
Because the only one I could find was it's just Marvel Spider-Man, but it's from 2017 E3 gameplay.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's the same one or not.
They think they're going to. A couple of articles I read showed that most people anticipate Insomniac's going to have a lot of gameplay to show from it.
Yeah,
but yeah, they've shown video of it and like the cutscenes and pre-rendered footage, but to see it actually, it's just called Marvel Spider-Man on PS4, and it's going to take advantage of the PS4 Pro, which
nice.
Until yesterday I wasn't sure was a really. I mean, that's not true. I played Monster Hunter World earlier in the year on it, and with a PS4 Pro, even at 1080, I was able to have 60 frames per second. But with the old PS4, you can only do it at 30, and with my bad eye, it just drives me crazy to see 30 frames per second.
Mm-hmm.
But, other than that, Sony also has maybe, if you're thinking about things you might love to see that's not been talked about a whole lot, is some of the Yakuza remasters. I've never played any of these games, but I know they're popular. I've seen Chichen play them before. They look like one of those, like, silly, over-the-top little bit soap opera, a little bit fighting game, a little bit GTA games, and they look really fun and cool. Like, you get these highly stylized fights with multiple people. I mean, maybe we'll see Kingdom Hearts 3. Did you ever play Kingdom Hearts?
No, again, that was another one that passed me by. The only reason that I didn't... This is going to sound really dumb, but one of the reasons that I didn't like Kingdom Hearts, because it was at a time where Squaresoft were going under, and they've merged with... well, I don't know what they were called before, but they became Square Enix, or Squeenix.
Yeah.
And from that, Kingdom Hearts was released under their name. And I hated that because Squaresoft were Final Fantasy to me.
Yeah.
And to put that with all the Disney, it just made it feel very childish.
You're like, get this kid shit out of here and
Yes,
bring me my
exactly.
Final Fantasy games.
But,
But
I will say, that was when I was younger. I have a bit more experience now. And although I haven't played them, I have heard that they're incredibly good games.
You've matured a little bit, is that what you're saying?
Slightly. Yeah. Still lingering bitterness, but yeah.
I hate Mickey Mouse because of Square Enix. Thanks.
Yeah. How dare you?
Oh man. Well, so we talked about, the show. The show actually does start Saturday, June 9th. There's going to be an EA show to start the thing off. Then Bethesda's going to have a show on the 10th. Microsoft's going to have their presentation on the 10th. Then Ubisoft, and then on the 12th, Nintendo is going to launch, and I'm very interested to see what they do. If they rest in their laurels a bit. Like, I think I may have predicted when we talked about the Switch last year that 2018 would kind of be a down year for them because they blew all of their capital on Mario and Zelda in 2017. And so far, the hardware has been adapted by a lot of third parties. Everybody's putting their games on it. We've got port-itis. Everyone and their brother's putting a port on the Nintendo Switch right now because the install base is exploding. Nintendo's got their manufacturing woes under control. I was at the store yesterday looking for TVs, and there were like 5 Switches on the shelf. So I know they're back in stock. But they had a good 9 months where you couldn't hardly find one. Yeah. You had to get lucky to find one. The biggest thing I think Nintendo Switch can show this year is, and I don't know that it's going to be the case, but would be Metroid Prime 4. I mean, for me, not for everybody, but for me, I would love to see a modernized Metroid Prime 4. I would love also to see them say, hey, you remember Star Fox Zero, how it was a complete clusterfuck on the Wii U because the motion controls were shit? Here's what we did. We're going to make a port. We're just going to take out all the motion controls. And I'm usually one to give motion controls a good shot, and I did. I thought, well, I trust Nintendo and Miyamoto to know what they're doing. They're not gonna be so headstrong to release this shitty motion control game and it not be fun. Yeah. I have to learn, and I was wrong.
One thing I'll counter with that. I know you said it's Metroid Prime 4 is for you, but yeah. I am dying to see something more on Super Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah. I mean, it seems to me that would be, and this is my ignorance talking because I don't ever develop video games, but it seems to me like that one would be somewhat quick to be able to port over. And I know there's a controversy. Is it a port? Is it not? It's using the same assets. Are they adding a bunch of new assets? I don't know. But I think most of the work on doing that game would be making it communicate Switch to Switch. If you have 8 people with a Switch, can you all play in one match together, locally? I think that's where their time's going to be spent on that game. Yeah. Because, I mean, if you played if you played Smash Brothers on the Wii U, that game is massive already. I mean, there's just 40 characters and 1,000 stages. I don't. There's so many I don't even know the number off the top of my head. So I don't know how much more they can add. That game is already overwhelming on day one, and you unlock characters as you play it. Yeah. It's got Mii characters you can unlock. You can scan an amiibo and do all kinds of crazy stuff. I
think, the main issue that they're going to have with what you were just saying then is if it is going to be a port to the Switch, if it's not going to be a brand new game, would be the multiplayer aspect, incorporating the Switch motion controls. Is it an 8-player maximum?
There's tons of modes.
I mean, like, don't remember. In one arena.
Yeah, there you could play. I think the default was 4, but now you can go to 8 or maybe 12. There's a bunch of different game modes, and some of them are like free for all. Some of them are team based, and you can have. I know for sure I've played 8-man matches, and I think there might have even been a 12 one. But the problem is that the way that camera works, it zooms way out, and my blind ass, I can't see where my character is half the time when there's that much going on the screen. But I'm with you. I would love to see it, mainly because for my Twitch channel, I would love to stream that with friends.
I think Smash Brothers is one of the most fun party games that Nintendo has to offer.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. On the Wii U, though, because I wasn't playing online with friends, I was playing either with my family or online with strangers. It never really clicked for me, and I played a lot of the old Smash Brothers games.
We had one for the GameCube.
Yeah, that's Brawl, I think.
Yes, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Oh wow! And it was one of those that we always used to get out at Christmas time, and then the whole family would sit and play that. So yeah. Your
mom and dad played too?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I'm from a generation where my parents rarely played video games.
Yeah, there's no idea what they're doing, but they're still playing.
Is this how I do it? I'm matching this button right here.
Yeah.
So the big question, I think, for Nintendo this year, I don't really care about this, but I know it's going to be huge, is if they show off Pokemon for the Switch.
Yes.
Is it going to be a low poly port like the 3DS version, more cartoony looking? Are they going to go for more realistic look, stylized realism? I don't know.
It's just one of those that we have to wait and see, unfortunately, because you've told me this before with Nintendo, where they play their cards very close to their chest. So unlike other companies where, you get like rumors and slips here and there of things that are in development, Nintendo, you never know what's coming.
So there was an article maybe a month ago where the CEO of GameStop said, was telling people, don't sleep on Nintendo this year. Everyone's kind of like, they put out all their big games last year. It's going to be a down year for Nintendo. Don't sleep on it. He said there's 2 or 3 major titles coming out this year that are going to move systems. And a lot of speculation was Smash Brothers or Pokemon. If Pokemon came out that's one of those systems that, because we're not, we're older gamers, we don't realize, but the 3DS is basically still being manufactured because of Pokemon. Pokemon Sun and Moon, and then like a year later they released Super Sun and Moon, moved so much hardware that Nintendo's president stepped down 2 weeks ago, and they brought in former head of the Pokemon company to run the company. So that's a pretty strong indicator where they're putting all their money, right? Yeah. If they come out with a Pokemon Switch this year, you will see so much hardware being moved because people love getting their kids a Pokemon system. I mean, who doesn't have a 3DS and a Pokemon game that's under 12 or that's 12 years old, and who doesn't have that hardware combo? I don't know anybody. Do you know anybody who has kids that doesn't at least have one video game system with Pokemon on it?
I don't have friends. No, I'm kidding.
That would involve knowing people and going outdoors.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, it's kind of. I do remember I had a 3DS at one point, but Pokemon was never my thing. Obviously, I'm not 12 either, so.
Well, exactly. I think when Pokemon was first new, I was like 48 then, and it was already like I was too old for it. I never clicked with me, and I even went back and tried. Was it Diamond and Pearl came out for the new system? I'm like, I thought it would be something fun. Dee and I could get each version. We could trade Pokemon. It'd be fun to play, and we were just like, it's okay, but there's just it wasn't enough there. Like, it wasn't a deep enough story. It wasn't enough gritty combat for adults, I think. But people who grew up on Pokemon love it to this day. They still can go back and play it. I've seen it time and time again, which is cool. Yeah. I'm trying my best to understand you, Pokemon. So other like crazy pie in the sky things would be like a new Fire Emblem game. I know there's talk about one that's been more bigger in Japan, more well known in Japan. But I still would love to see. I've got Fire Emblem for the Fire Emblem Heroes, which is like the Dynasty Warriors game for the Switch, and it's fun. Like I like the characters and the story, but I'm not committed to that story or committed to those characters, invested in them at all. It's just a hacky slashy game. Did you see any of that when I played it?
Yes, I did. Okay,
yeah. You kind of know what I'm going, where I'm coming from with that. Just being, I'm mashing buttons. This is fun.
Yeah.
And look, there's bright colors going on the screen.
Yeah, it does. I don't know if it's the same when you were playing it, but I get the feeling that it would kind of get old a little bit fast, just because
definitely
the constant hack and slash like you say.
I know a couple of people, B Shiv and Levi Hurst and a couple of their friends would be very excited if Animal Crossing was announced for the Switch this year. That's one of the reasons they hate all the ports, is be like, where's our Animal Crossing? They were like drug fiends. I watched them playing Animal Crossing mobile on their stream, and like, oh, it's actually kind of good. Like a week later, we hate it. It's terrible.
There's a lot of microtransactions in it. I guess it's bad.
Oh, it was. I never played it much. I don't get Animal Crossing either.
No, I never played it. I just saw a review on it. That's all.
And just, if I was really dreaming, I'd love to see a rebooted, well-designed F-Zero, or maybe even a Eternal Darkness, which Eternal Darkness is a sleeper hit, but those are probably, not going to happen.
F-Zero would be cool. F-Zero was one of my favorite games for.
Was it really?
Yeah. Was it the SNES? I think it was released for.
Yeah. There was a SNES version. There was a game. It was a Nintendo 64 or a GameCube version too.
Yeah, I want to say in 64, but I don't think I ever played that one.
It was. I remember it being insane because it would go like, you'd be on a track that was like a tube, and you could be inside or outside of it, and like get really disorienting.
Yeah, I think it was definitely one of those that I could play when I was younger. If I went back to play it now, I think I would fail miserably.
Exactly, you wouldn't have the patience for it.
Well, that, and I just don't think I have the dexterity for it now.
Yeah, that's true. We talked about Bethesda maybe having they are going to have a show. Are there any big Bethesda games you can think of, like maybe an Elder Scrolls or a Dishonored or something like that? Fallout, I guess they were involved in that one as well.
They've just released but Dishonored 2 wasn't released too long ago.
Yeah.
But as far as I know,
did you ever play Fallout or the Skyrim or any of those?
I played
games?
Skyrim. I love Skyrim.
I think we'll get that was Elder Scrolls 5, I think. Do you think we'll get a Skyrim sequel shown finally?
I don't know. They did release Elder Scrolls Online not too long ago. They have kept updating that as well. So, I don't know what's to come from Bethesda.
Maybe too crowded for another Elder Scrolls game.
It depends what people are looking for, because Skyrim itself was single player. Elder Scrolls Online was obviously multiplayer online. So, I don't know if people wanting a single player experience, much like the old Skyrims. Why not? But I imagine there is so much work because those games are so big.
Well, how about Square Enix? Anything other than the Final Fantasy VII remake? Do you think we'd see like they've been supposed to be releasing an Avengers game?
I think Square Enix have probably got a little bit too much on their plate at the moment, because they also do Tomb Raider as well. So with that coming out this year and potentially Final Fantasy VII, maybe I don't know, maybe they have something else that's in the distant future that they want to tease with, but I don't think there will be many AAA games other than those two to come.
I know CD Projekt Red, the people who made The Witcher, have a game in the development called Cyberpunk 2077. Is that right?
I very briefly read over CD Projekt Red, but I never actually saw what they were teasing with. Tell me about it.
It's basically is a think Witcher, but in the future, and it's cyberpunk.
Oh wow!
That's about all I needed to hear to go. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because Witcher 3 is an I've said this on my stream a few times. Witcher 3 is an amazing game, and like if I said on a piece of paper and I add up everything that's in The Witcher 3, I should flipping love this game. But I can never get into it. It's like it has a little bit of the Ubisoft feel to it, where it's just like, okay, go to this area, do the quests, click on the buttons, and then get the thing, and then go to the next area. And I know that's video games in general, but it doesn't do enough to hold my interest. There's a couple of side missions I did that actually were like, oh, these are really compelling, and then they're over, and it's like isolated and not part of the main story. And I'm like, oh, I need the main story to drag me along better than this. And it's not really CD Projekt Red or Witcher 3's fault that I was like this. I think I had just played so many third-person action games that it felt loose. The combat didn't feel as good to me at the time when I played it. But
no, I'm with you on that one. I did try playing The Witcher 3, and much like you, I just it didn't capture my it didn't take me into it, and I lost interest very quickly with it.
And I think because of Skyrim and MMOs that are very much fantasy genre. I know I've talked in the past about fantasy genres kind of old hat and tired at this point. It's been done, between Lord of the Rings games and MMOs. Like even World of Warcraft is a more fantasy or more cartoony fantasy, but it's still that same tropes: tank, wizards, and healers and things. A cyberpunk, futuristic sci-fi version of a big RPG like that sounds interesting. It sounds a little bit like Final Fantasy VII to me. Final Fantasy was a little bit cyberpunky in a city, right? Parts of it anyway.
Yes, I would agree with that. There are aspects of it that definitely lean towards the cyberpunk style.
Well, I think, what did we miss? Is there anything that you read about that we maybe should talk about?
Nothing that's concrete.
Just
one little thing which I didn't note, actually, which has been confirmed, which is there is going to be a Rollercoaster Tycoon edition for the Switch, which nice.
I'm
quite excited
Playing
about.
Roller Coaster on the go, yeah.
Rollercoaster Tycoon was one of my favourite management games for PC when I was younger. So to bring to the Switch would be quite fun.
I mean, if there's nothing else you could say about Rollercoaster Tycoon, it's the only game I know of where you can tell a guy to go clean up barf.
And also isolate guests and just make them drown. So, yeah, fun times.
Oh, well, what sick animal would do something like that?
Certainly not me. I never did that.
No, you're demented when you figure out how to launch the coasters. Like they have these coasters you could launch, they shoot out, and you have your entrance to your park, and it comes down like a straight line, and then at the end of that straight line is your launch coaster, and you wait till you got about 100 people in there, and then you launch the coaster into all the guests.
You call me sick. Wow.
Well, to be fair, I was in my late 40s days. So I've done a lot of growing up since then.
Late 40s?
Yeah. I'm an old man. Yeah. What do you want from me?
Is there anything?
Well, I think the only thing we haven't talked about is the 3DS, and it's probably just because I don't care.
Yeah.
There's talk of a new 3DS hardware coming out.
Really?
I'm like, if they bring Pokemon to the Switch, the 3DS is gonna die.
Yeah, that is.
The 3DS, unless there's a port for it. That's my biggest fear with Pokemon for the Switch, is they're gonna bring a half-ass hybrid that'll run on both softwares equally, which means you'll get a shitty stripped-down version for the Switch. But hopefully
maybe that's why they haven't announced anything for the Switch, like in regards to Pokemon, because they don't want the 3DS to die, because they know that is probably their biggest seller for that console.
There's that, and they could also be worried about if they show off a stripped-down, low-poly version that will run on both systems, that it'll kill the hype for the Switch version. Because there's one thing that Pokemon fans are, and that's jaded about home console versions of the game. There was a game called something DX for the GameCube. Pokemon. It was like an RPG featuring Pokemon, and it's one of the highest-rated games for the system.
Oh, wow.
And I never played it, but I've seen it's real hard to come by because you got to get a physical copy of it. It goes for like $30 or $40 US used, because it's rare. It didn't sell really well, but people who played it loved it. So do we want to have a bold prediction? Do you have any bold predictions about E3 at all? Like some big surprise?
No, I don't know. That could be absolutely anything.
I think they're going to show some DLC for Mario Odyssey.
Oh, good call.
That's not very bold, but I think they're going to have like either a big patch, like maybe a DLC patch that has a story mode, or they're going to have like a Luigi mode or something, sort of like they did with New Super Mario Brothers.
I reckon Sony are going to announce the PS5.
Ooh, wow.
There's no
that is
chance.
A bold strategy.
No chance of that happening. Just putting it out there.
You know that there has been talk of new consoles being in the works already.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've been in the works. But...
Yeah, I was reading again about rumors for this year, and while there might be some in the works, I think they were saying that it's probably it definitely is too soon to confirm or announce anything about the next generation, because of the PS Pro has just been released, obviously, and everyone is trying to, all the developers, games makers are trying to get the most out of the PS Pro at the moment before they even consider going to the next generation. So maybe something, I don't know, maybe something next year.
Yeah, you would think like Xbox would have it in their best interest to like come out swinging with they just released the Xbox One X, but I don't. I think that thing is cost prohibitive to the majority of the market. And you know, what's compelling them to go there? What's compelling them to pull that big trigger? Yeah. There's no exclusives coming out.
Yeah.
Not that I care about it.
No,
anyway.
I think you're right. Definitely the PlayStation and the Switch probably has the foot in the door over Xbox when it comes to consoles right now. So as we were saying earlier, like Microsoft probably have to release something big this time around to gain some ground on them.
So let's book some flights and go to E3. I'll use our podcast to get press credentials. We'll go play all those games.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Or we'll just watch it at home like everybody else, and then maybe you and I can meet after the event's over and just talk about our impressions.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Well, I think we're done here then, right?
I think so.
Hey, Cherry, say I wanted to watch your stream on Twitch. Where should I go to do that?
You guys can find me at twitch.tv/cherrycaketv. And you can also reach out to me on Twitter. I am at cherrycake518. What about you, Grant?
Oh, yes. You can see me at twitch.tv/Crunky with 2 N's. And you can find me on Twitter at Crunky_Twitch. Also, just to remind everyone, if you didn't hear it earlier, we are going to start doing a live version of the podcast on my Twitch channel. It will be in person, the Sunny D and myself, and then we'll have guests routinely like Cherry when she's available. I know because of our time gap, usually we're going to be starting to stream about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning for her, so we'll probably have her on the weekends. Or, you know, if she's up late. And then we'll have a lot of our past guests and future guests will come on the live podcast as well. Cherry and I will still be doing the recording podcast once a week. We're just trying to up the number of episodes we release each week, and this seems like a next step for us. So, if you guys have feedback on any of this as it comes out, don't hesitate to send it to myself or Cherry. You can send it to the Go Lurk Yourself podcast Facebook page, or its Twitter account, which is at Go Lurk Yourself Podcast. And with that, I think we're done.
Yay.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Not for the time being, no.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you before and after E3 again, so see you later.
Bye.
Bye.